Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. Most people think that the financial mistakes are dramatic, be it around bad loans, overspending, making a risky bet, etc. But it is the small, subtle habits that we may have that is what we encounter most of the time during this journey to financial independence and creating wealth. And guess what? Most of these habits come with a mask of wisdom, knowledge, and sometimes even overconfidence. So in this video, I'm going to address 5 such subtle bad habits that can slow down your journey to financial independence, even though you may be doing everything right. So let's get started. So the first such subtle bad habit is not setting targets. Interestingly, when we are working, most of the time, we get our targets from our managers as well as we set targets for our team, and we'll set KPIs of different forms and different dashboards, and we'll measure and monitor individuals' performance, including our own performance, against those KPIs and targets at the end of the year. And if we perform well against those targets, we get a bonus. If we outperform, sometimes we even get a bonus and a promotion. And if we don't achieve those targets, we probably don't get a bonus, and we probably also don't get that promotion for the year. So similarly, I think that is the same kind of culture that is important or needed in our own financial life to create the right habit. Like you set KPIs or different kind of KPIs or targets for yourself and the team at work, similarly, you should set different kind of financial KPIs and targets for yourself in your own personal journey. It should be around savings, it should be around your portfolio, and it should be around your expenses. And when I say expenses, it is not just about budget, because most of the time what we do is we set a budget for expenses, but we don't set any incentives or any even penalization model or correction model that what if we are overspending, or what if our portfolio is not growing at the pace that we have set our target. So at the beginning of the year, I think it is important to create that discipline that you set the target that this year, this is the amount of money that you're going to save from your salary and your earnings, and this is what you anticipate your portfolio to grow, and you will probably do certain course corrections towards your portfolios towards that growth for the year. And similarly for expenses, that for both discretionary and the non-discretionary expenses. And at the end of the year, you should, like you evaluate your performance at work, you should evaluate the performance, financial performance, against these 3 metrics and see how you performed. And if you perform well, you should give yourself and your family a bonus. It could be in form of monetary or non-monetary, in whatever ways that you give yourself that pat on the back. And if you don't perform, then you should also make certain corrective strategy. And like at work, when you analyze a performance, that why we were not able to meet our targets for the year, you should also analyze your portfolio. And this creates the right discipline from the very early age. And interestingly, what we've seen over the years is that when it comes to penalizing ourselves, that we were doing over analysis, that if in a certain year we were not able to save, or the portfolio didn't grow, or we overspent, we were doing all the corrective actions. But when it came to giving ourselves awards, we were a little bit lazy and we were hesitant. And that comes to also the next bad habit. That is something what we are still trying to overcome, and that is learning to spend money. If you've been watching these videos, you're like us, that you're really diligent towards your savings, and in your portfolio you're also diligent towards your expenses. You're not crazily spender, that you're buying watches, bags here and there, and just impulsive shopper of all those expensive stuff. Most likely you're on the other end of the spectrum, that you hesitate towards spending money, like us. And we are realizing during these retirement years that it is not easy to spend money, because how many days can you go out to have dinners and movies and holidays, etc.? You need relaxation. And if you're not into those crazy asset spending, then it's not easy to spend money. So what we've started doing towards learning to spend money is we've started putting value towards money and time, and trying to create an equation. So let me explain. So for example, when we go for hiking, which we've found as our newfound passion, we realize that the cost of going on a hike is comparatively, the expenses are low, but the time it takes of doing that activity is quite high. So the return of investment is big return, that for spending very little money, you can spend a lot of time. And when you'll be in retirement, that is what you really want, that you are not just spending money, that in return, you are able to consume a lot of time with that money. The other example, as an extreme example, is that you buy a watch. So when you buy a watch, you're spending a lot of money, but it is giving you, maybe you can look at the time, but it is giving you, you're spending that money within few minutes at a watch store, and that's it. So you have to balance between how much money you spend with the time or the satisfaction that you get with that money. So for example, I would say a game of golf, that when you're going out for a game of golf, the money that you're spending is giving you 8 hours or 7 hours of time at a golf course to relax, etc. So you need to find that balance, because that is what we think, or at least we realizing it becomes a very good tool. Because remember, money is a tool, it is not a trophy. Trophy could be in terms of savings, that you are just saving that as a trophy, or trophy could be as a spending towards a bag or a watch, etc. And when you use it as a tool towards consuming time, I think that's the best. Talking about time, the third bad habit is carrying good debt over a long period of time. Yes, not all debt is bad, but even good debt has an expiry date, because even a low interest rate over a period of decades can become significant enough that could have been invested and could have resulted into a bigger chunk. Yes, there are times when you're just starting your career, maybe, etc., that it is not possible to pay off the debts, but you have to make sure that over a period of time you have a strategy that how you're going to reduce your mortgage and pay off faster. Because you need to ask yourself, that is your debt serving you, or are you serving your debt? And a true financial independence is when you're truly independent of your debt, you're truly independent from your job, and you're truly independent from any other financial obligations that you may have. And the first step is always to become truly independent from your debt before you become truly independent from your primary job. So have a plan towards servicing your debt over a period of time. The fourth one is something that I think we are all guilty of, is falling in love with our investments. Ever had an investment that you made just because you believe in it? Well, newsflash, that's not investment, that's romance. Just keep in mind, investment is not your lover. They don't need your loyalty. They need your clarity. They need your rational thinking. And unfortunately, we're all emotional fools. We start falling in love with investment, or we become biased towards certain investments. And Seema and I, we are definitely also guilty of that. And based on our experience, what we've seen is that generally it is something either that you can touch and feel, a property that you become very biased towards or emotional towards, or it is an individual stock where you have this faith in that company or that brand without a lot more rational thinking, or it was at a certain price and that price kept going down, and you have that wishful thinking that someday it will go back to that price that was in the market, even though you have profited from that. So it is important that you have to have a rebalancing strategy in a portfolio from early on itself. You need to have a portfolio review strategy that is based on facts and figures rather than emotions, and especially towards companies or individual stocks. Ideally, and that is what we've been also trying to do over the years, is you move towards mutual funds and ETFs, because you will realize that ETFs and mutual funds by nature of, they are very boring, because they are just a ticker, that they don't attract so much of emotions or our dopamine. You are a lot more rational towards an ETF or a mutual fund versus towards an individual property or a stock. So try and moving towards that, and it will give you an additional advantage, that it automatically creates the right diversification strategy. So if possible, try to move there. And if you still want to hold on to certain individual stocks, make sure that you're reading up onto that company. What is their price earning ratio? What is the threats towards that particular company's business model, their strategy, etc. And you're making the decisions wisely based on that. And you also put certain markers that if it reaches a certain point, you'll cash out of that and maybe put it in a diversified portfolio, or you will even have a stop loss mechanism that if it goes below a certain threshold, you will cut your losses and you'll get out of that. And that is very difficult to do. But it is very important to build those habits early on so that you, in the future, you can have those right bucket strategy and a diversified portfolio. And the last one is actually, interestingly, another end of the spectrum of falling in love with the investment is outsourcing your portfolio. Because interestingly, we've never done that because we've been very hands-on with our portfolio, but we've met a lot of people during this journey, as well as during these videos and community meets that we've organized on our channel, where the general remark is that, look, you guys, you're pretty financially savvy, but I'm not that financially savvy, so it's easier for me to give this portfolio to someone else or let my portfolio be managed by someone else. And interestingly, most of these people are very smart people. They are managing business worth of crores of rupees or millions of dollars. They're managing big teams. They are very well educated, and they are managing very complex business transactions for their clients as well as their companies that they are working for. But when it comes to their own portfolio, somehow there is a scare factor that they have that, oh, it's very difficult for me to manage my own money, or I don't have time to manage my own money. And personally, we think, yes, your company gives you salary where you're working for, but your portfolio is your lifeline that will give you your retirement and give you financial independence. So it is important that you, even if you plan to let someone else manage it for you, you need to have very good knowledge, or at least basic knowledge of personal finance. So you need to at least know what is a bucket strategy, what is an emergency fund, what is a mutual fund, what is the difference between an ETF. And it doesn't take time. It is not rocket science. There are some very good books that we always recommend and someone should definitely read. And if you've not read, I think Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, there are umpteen books that you need to, that can give you very good knowledge of building that personal finance skills. And this will help you challenge whoever is managing your money. And keep in mind, whoever is managing your money, either there is a cost to that, or there is a bias interest that they may have towards certain funds if they are working for a bank or if for a financial institution that they have towards growing their own, because they have their own targets of that, for that matter. So just make sure that you balance it very well, even if you may not have enough time to manage your funds. Though personally, I think everybody can have and take out just a few hours a week just to have an overall time. But even if you don't, just make sure that you at least are personal finance enabled and not just AI or some tech skill enabled that you have for your work. So these 5 bad habits, if you can overcome them or at least acknowledge them and start working towards them, can make a big difference towards your journey to financial independence. So I hope this video gave you some new insights. Would love to hear your thoughts. If you think there are other bad habits that are worth for us also to know about and make sure that we also become more cognizant about those, please do write in the comments. Would love to hear from you. Till the next video, till the next topic, and till the next location. Goodbye from me. Bye-bye.